finish list, the result from Thursday, used to create the starting order for today's race. The leader, Viktor Майгуров, the man who won the race, now coming in to shoot. Starting today's competition with a small advantage over Frude Andrason and a 17-second advantage over Svend Fischer, the World Cup leader, and saying to him and all of the others that start after him, catch me if you can. First pursuit in Lillehammer, which Svend Fischer won. Майгуров was fourth on that occasion, and he's closest to you, but we're having a look at Frude Andrason, who's very quick across the snow, but shooting all important. A miss here means a penalty loop of 150 meters, which is an extra 20 seconds added to your time effectively. Майгуров, perfect, 5 out of 5 in 25. Frude Andrason, a mistake, and Svend Fischer in the yellow bib for the World Cup leader, 5 out of 5, and that means he's going to go into second place. Early days, Ule-Éinar Bьёрндален looks to have just dropped a shot. Those targets, of course, are graphic impressions of what's happening, and Майгуров has got Fischer on his tail, 6 seconds, 7 seconds just about separating the first two, with Frude Andrason of Norway going around the penalty loop now, 22 seconds. He was only 5 behind Майгуров when he started. Ludwig Gredler of Austria. It's not a bad start. Gredler, who was 25 seconds off the pace, just about where he was when he started. And Bjørndalen, that penalty loop, he's done it very well. Lofgren, the former World Cup champion, the 1993 champion, who's really looking a bit like his old self this season, has left the first shooting range in 5th place, 6th place, just behind Bjørndalen. So a good mix of countries. Майгуров of Russia, Fischer of Germany, Andrason of Norway, Gredler of Austria, Bjørndalen of Norway, Lofgren of Sweden. Frank Look of Germany there, 5 out of 5 at his first visit. The Germans have already got their tails up thanks to Uschi Diesel, who took the women's sprint a little earlier, the women's pursuit, to make it a double here for her at the Hольmenkollen, having won Thursday's race. Chablot of Switzerland in the range, starting 26 today. A man who has to do it all on his own. Looks to have dropped a couple of shots, perhaps, Chablot, Jean-Marc Chablot. And only the first 25 score a World Cup point, and he really needed to get one to help him qualify for the World Championships in Osboli in the end of January. So now out on the trail. They skied 2.2 kilometers to get to the first shooting range. The second visit is at 5.4 kilometers, and you can see here that 6-second gap. Fischer, who's chasing Майгуров, the gap at the moment hasn't been closed. Svend Fischer on top form, won the first 2 races of the season. But at the moment, he's trying to catch this man, 27-year-old Viktor Майгуров, the world sprint silver medalist, won that silver medal behind Vladimir Drachev in Ruhpolding last February. There's Michael Lofgren wearing bib number 7, being chased up there by Pavol Muslimov, who had a disappointing performance in the sprint here on Thursday, finishing only 9th. It was the shooting that let him down. 2 just going through there. Frude Andrason a little bit down the field. So Russia, Germany, Norway, Austria. And the order hasn't changed since they've left the range. A nice day, chilly day, -10, the air temperature, snow at -4, and as you can see, not too many around the trails here, the famous Hольmenkollen woods and hill. I fancy rather a lot have not come up here. They've stayed down in Oslo's city centre doing perhaps a little early Christmas shopping. And Svend Fischer beginning to close, got to within perhaps 4 or 5 seconds now, and just beginning to reel in Майгуров. Here's Andresson, and behind him Ludvig Gredler. Andresson from Honeyfoss, only 22 years of age, whereas Gredler, 29. He's been in the business of biathlon just that little bit longer. 5 coming through, that's Ulle-Éinar Bьёрндален, 7 Lofgren, 9 is Muslimov. Muslimov, who before Thursday was sharing the World Cup lead in terms of points with Svend Fischer. Well-prepared trails here, fast descents, and the loops, by no means big. They really are good in the sense of spectating, but unfortunately not too many here to take advantage of these men who this weekend will finish their activity before Christmas with a relay, as will the women, and that you'll be able to see on Eurosport tomorrow. Майгуров really does look purposeful. Confidence, his shooting is absolutely spot on at the moment. But it's going to need to be. Fischer's gently made that up and just moving alongside, and looks as if he's going to take the advantage coming into the range. Remember, both of these men have got to try and isolate themselves and not have a race between them, particularly at this point where they come into the range, and they've got to start controlling their heart rate to enable them to be as steady as possible. They've just got to go left-handed round the base of the hill before they get into the shooting range, which is well protected. What wind there is really not a factor today. Round the bottom of the famous Hольmenkollen hill, which will see World Cup action in March. So Fischer, 25 years of age, finished 3rd in the World Cup rankings last year. Really consistent, solid member of the German team. So, in unison. Neither man can afford an error at this stage. So who shoots first? Fischer, maybe. Майгуров gets the first shot in, fractionally ahead, both together for shot 2. Fischer, I think, gets a miss there. Yes, he does. And Майгуров, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. For Fischer, it's 9 out of 10, 1 penalty loop, and this is going to hand a 20-second advantage to Майгуров. Who's going to come out now in 3rd place? Andresson having a nightmare. He's dropped 2 shots there. Muslimov a chance to catch up if he can shoot clean. Bjørndalen with also a nightmare. 3 shots dropped by Ulle-Éinar Bjørndalen. Muslimov 5 out of 5. That's 10 out of 10. So the Russians are going well. Fischer's done his penalty loop. You can see there 19.9 seconds. That's what he's now got to make up. And surely Muslimov should go out into 3rd place out into the country. Yes, he is. 35.8 seconds to make up. He started 53 behind Майгуров, so he's made just a little bit of progress. Mark Kirchner of Germany really beginning to recapture his best form. And he should be there or thereabouts in the top group. Kirchner still to get out across that. There he is, a minute off the pace. Started 49 seconds behind, so he's shooting well, but skiing not as quickly as the front men. The Olympic sprint champion of 1992 with 6... So still Viktor Майгуров in the lead here. The first two visits to the range lying down, but the second two standing up, which is much, much harder. The reason they've made that decision for the pursuit is really a logistical one because of so many racers coming into the range at one time, but it's had the effect of creating even more pressure on these men. Much more difficult to maintain a stable base. Race over 12.5 kilometers, so you can see we're just under half distance as Майгуров still leads. And remember, after the last visit to the range, he had a 19.9 second advantage over Svend Fischer, and we'll get a check on that. Looks as if Майгуров is maintaining that. Absolutely spot on. Fischer's not made anything, mind you, he hasn't lost anything either. Mustlimov, another man who did well in the shooting range there, goes into third place. 39 seconds. He's beginning to make a little ground now. So Pavel Mustlimov got a silver in the team event at the World Championships. Yet to win a race, though. He's been third a couple of times. He's never won a World Cup event. Here comes Fischer. Has he cut anything back yet? Has Mustlimov found an extra second or two? There's Mustlimov in the background, just coming through. Well, maybe Fischer's found the odd second, but not more than that. And Mustlimov was 39 behind when we last saw him. Getting good extension off those skating steps now as he comes up 6.4 kilometers, so just over halfway. And he's found perhaps the odd second. Should be Frode Andrason next. Andresen outside the top 15 in Lillehammer in the opening round, but had a very good second place in the Östersund sprint. Andresen and Andresen, well, that's not quite correct. There's only one of him, I can assure you. Has a high cruising speed as the Norwegian, so he could get back into it, but remember, he's already thrown away 3 shots, which is a minute. 5 going through, that was Ule-Éinar Bьёrndalен. And 10 making up some of that. Wolfgang Pönner of Austria just through in that little group as well. But here's the race leader. Out on his own. I think he'd rather be this way than have Fischer along his side. Allows him to really focus and just concentrate on his own race. Very much like when you start in a normal sprint race with 30-second intervals, providing you keep that, you'll have usually enough snow to yourself to race into the stadium and to drop down in terms of speed and keep the control going. Now here's Svend Fischer, and visibly, well, the gap's closed maybe a little bit. But the pressure is on the man in second place. Seventh and fourth in Lillehammer in the opening weekend. Fourth in the pursuit. That was won by Svend Fischer. Then Viktor Майгуров went to Östersund, as did all the tour. Finished up 15th over 15 kilometers, the one and only long, over 20 kilometers, I should say, the one and only long endurance test they've had so far this season, and then got absolutely nothing out of the Östersund sprint. But he's come back to top form, having won the sprint here on Thursday. So Fischer's in, but Майгуров's got 2, 3. Really is flowing. 5 out of 5, and that's very quick. Another 25-second shoot. Fischer. And he will try to block out the cheers and the noise. He's missed 1 and 2. Now that's maybe 3 shots given away in total, but certainly 2 too many. You can't afford over this sort of short distance. You get away with 1, possibly 2, but 3 surely too much. Muslimov could go second if he shoots clean, but that's 1 dropped. And Muslimov still in the range. 1 dropped for him, so he's on penalty loops. Andresen, also a shot dropped, just to confirm. Lofgren. 1 mistake. That makes 2 so far in total. Kirchner, Mark Kirchner of Germany, 5 out of 5. So far, he's got 15 out of 15. So Майгуров for Russia, Fischer for Germany, Muslimov for Belarus, Kirchner for Germany, Andresen for Norway. Carsten Heyman for Germany at the top there on the right. Germany has scored points in every World Cup so far this season. Lofgren, 1 minute and 15. He's lost ground. He was only 39 seconds behind Майгуров, who at the moment has a 50-second advantage, and that could give him a weekend double, and he could emulate Uschi Diesel's performances by standing on the top of the podium on Thursday and again. But he's still got to come into the range and shoot once again. $4,000 just a little bit more than that for this man, Viktor Майгуров. But between him and that finish line, 1 more visit to the shooting range, 5 more targets to be downed, and if he does that, he'll have 20 out of 20. Famous tower over the Hольmenkollen here. Here's Svend Fischer, and you can see Muslimov really closing on him. And the second man really has got the bit between his teeth. The second man in your picture. Much easier to be in that position and chasing hard. Well, the gap when they left the range was 50 seconds, and Майгуров, with his confidence high, is really flowing, and he's going away, and I don't think Fischer can really do much about this at all. Coming to the range at just over 10.3 kilometers, so a little bit of skiing still for the leader to do before the final shoot, and the other 2 not in sight. And if Майгуров bothered to turn round, he doesn't have to though, because the coaches are all along the trail giving him the splits, keeping him up to the mark. But effectively, a 50-second advantage is worth 2 drop shots, so that's a comfortable cushion to have, although you wouldn't want to go in with that thought in your mind. You'd be almost certain to miss the target. So Fischer not making any progress. Muslimov in 3rd place, but you can see that Andresen, the quick Norwegian, shooting may have let him down so far. He's dropped no less than 4 shots. Kirchner's in fact behind Andresen. That graphic on the left there, not quite right. And that's Björndalen going through. Lofgren lost his chance, really. Michael Lofgren dropping shots at the second and third visits. And this looks to be a much more clear-cut affair than it was in Lillehammer, where it was really nip and tuck all the way. With Fischer getting the better of Rostovtsev and Katarinusi in a splendid pursuit finish. And Майгуров was only fourth, but Майгуров's shooting has so far set him apart from the rest. Lonely figure going round the turn. And as he goes round here to his left, the racers are coming down the hill on his right, so he has an absolute guide to how much he's got in hand. Fischer's just gone through the bottom turn. Майгуров, who started the morning third place in the overall World Cup rankings for this season, fifth in the sprint table. There are special prizes for the best sprinter and the best endurance biathlete. And if he picks up another 30 points now, well, he's really going to zoom up the table. So, 15 out of 15, full marks so far, 5 to go. If he does this, apart from falling over, oh, and a miss on the second shot, no. No, but it was on shot number 4, and that means he's got 20 seconds to do. Fischer comes in. It's a chink of light, but it's not much more because he hasn't even started to shoot. That'll take 20 to 25 seconds, by which time Viktor Майгуров will be on his way home. So Fischer can't afford another mistake. Looking good. Very solid, nice rhythm. That's very quick. He's done that extremely well. He's really gone for that. Muslimov. Muslimov dropping a shot. So perhaps his chance of a podium might have gone. Andresen also for Norway, yet another mistake. Bjørndalen getting a clean sheet, that gives him hope because he's as quick across the snow as his teammate Frode Andresen. So Bjørndalen, who dropped 4 shots early on, was clean last time and clean now. So he's actually got 16 out of 20, but he's shooting better at the right end of the race. Lofgren of Sweden, 2 shots dropped. He's also got 16 out of 20, but for him it's coming at the wrong time, the mistakes. So Russia, Germany, Norway, Belarus and Norway. Bjørndalen started, in fact, 27 seconds behind Майгуров. Now, but for all those shooting mistakes, Bjørndalen, who's dropped 4 shots, Майгуров, who dropped 1, those, the difference of those 3 shots is worth a minute. So you could say, but for those 3 mistakes by Bjørndalen, he would be just about leading this race. And Fischer, well, he's dropped 3 shots. He clearly would have been leading. Jon Agitildum there, the double World Cup champion. Just 1 mistake, 19 out of 20. He just hasn't got the race pace across the snow at the moment, Jon Agi. This man has. 60 points, he'll be very pleased if he keeps this going. Nice way to go into the Christmas break in terms of World Cup racing, having completed a double here at Hольменколлен. Fischer. Remember, he was 50 seconds behind. He's cut that back, and we'll get a better time check now. 12,500 meters this test, so just about 1,600 meters to go. And Norway, the Oslo Fjord. Well, not a beautiful day, I have to say. Ulle-Éinar Bjørndalen, he's the man in third place, trying to chase down Fischer. Bjørndalen, who was third in Östersund in the sprint, and Fischer 26 seconds, but most of that progress due to that one penalty loop that Майгуров had to ski. And really putting an effort in here. This is good to see. Bjørndalen with a real appetite. Having said that, he hasn't made any progress. I think he's just going to have to settle for third place. So third, fifth, and perhaps third for Bjørndalen. That's not a bad sequence, a much better start. He got absolutely no points at all. Out of the top 25 in the first two races at Lillehammer. Майгуров, on the other hand, was in the top 10. And he's proving himself to be as consistent, as tough and as durable as this man, Svend Fischer. Fischer's best World Cup finish came in the 94 season, was runner-up then. "13 years in the sport." Bjørndalen, fourth in the World Cup rankings last year. I should say in 1995, and dropped to 9th last year. But only 22, yet to reach his prime as a biathlete. Now Frude Andrason occupying fourth place, ahead of Muslimov. Kirchner having dropped the shot at the last visit to the range, which has cost him time at a crucial point. Also making progress is Rene Caterinoussi, of Italy, who dropped a shot early on in the first shooting range, but since then has shot clean. He's got a score of 19 out of 20, the Italian, exactly the same as Майгуров, who's now almost home. Really terrific feeling just to glide down here, no one on your tail. Not a quick time inside the last 200 meters, but there's no one to push him. And Fischer clearly knows and knew when he left the range he really had no chance, so there was no real point in burning himself out. Майгуров, second victory, helicopter celebration, 60 World Cup points. What a good December he's having. Here comes Svend Fischer, World Cup leader of the World Cup with a total of 106 points. And he's got 26 more for his effort, which takes him up to 132. Майгуров, he goes up to 112. So the German's still going to lead. Bjørndalen, home fans will enjoy this. The best of the Norwegians. Second podium this season for Bjørndalen. Just needs to sort the shooting out. That's where he's losing these races. And much the same. Look at that. That's an awful performance there. 5 shots, only 15 out of 20. Muslimov, 2 misses at a crucial stage for him as well, but decent points in 5th place. But Майгуров, very much the man to beat now, even though Fischer is at the top. Here's Caterinoussi. Rene Caterinoussi. Third in the pursuit in Lillehammer, but very happy there. 11 crossing the line. That's Sergei Roshkov. 4 coming home. That's Ludvig Gredler. Lofgren crossed the line. 22 is Jonagi Tildum. And 56 just looking down there. That's Pavel Rostovtsev, who's pulled up from 56th place. That's a tremendous performance from 56th into the dozen. And that's another amazing... That is Patrice Bailly-Salin, who has come from 60th into the top 15, I think. So confirmation, the Oslo double to Майгуров. Svend Fischer maintaining his challenge to win the World Cup for the first time. Mark Kirchner also showing good form. Confirmation, look at Bailly-Salin there into 17th place, the last man to start, who had 2 minutes 25 to make up on the leader. And Bailly-Salin just checking on his shootings there in 17th place, dropped only one shot. All of these men getting points. Alexei Kobolev of Russia getting 25th place, 1 World Cup point. But would you believe it? Switzerland's Jean-Marc Chablot for the second race in succession, finishing 26th. And as I mentioned in the race, he needs a point to qualify for the World Championships. The Swiss man who does it all himself. He's racer, coach and serviceman. But today it was Ule-Éinar Bьёрндален who was third best. His shooting let him down at halfway, but after that he got better. Svend Fischer, 3 shots given away, too much at this level of the sport. But nonetheless, he's still the World Cup leader. But will he be at the end of the season? Not if this man has anything to say about it. The last 72 hours have been perfect. 19 out of 20 today. But he was never under pressure. So that's the story from Oslo. As you see, the World Cup points there. Muslimov of Belarus up into second place with Майгуров of Russia in third. Then the best of the Norwegians. Join us for the relays, the men's and women's tomorrow. For now, though, from myself, David Goldstrom, and the Nordic team, thanks for your company. Bye-bye from Hольменколлен.